Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, Acts chapter 14. If you'd like me to come speak at your church, or if you have any questions, you can email me at godsohman@gmail.com. Acts 14, starting with verse 1. And it came to pass in Iconium that they went both together to the synagogue of the Jews, and so spake that great multitude, both of the Jews and also the Greeks believed. But in the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles, and made their minds evil, affected against the brethren. So you can look at the map right here, and you can see where Iconium is. Long time therefore abode they, speaking boldly to the Lord, which gave testimony unto the word of his grace, and granted signs and wonders to be done by their hands. But the multitude of the city was divided, and part held with the Jews, and part held with the apostles. And when there was an assault made both of the Gentile and also the Jews with their rulers, to use them despitefully and to stone them, they were aware of it, and fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and into the realms of the layeth round about. So if you look at the map here on the very top, you'll see Lystra, Iconium, and Derbe, and so that's where they were at. And there they preached the gospel, and there sat a certain man in Lystra, impotent at his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, Stand upright on thy feet. And he leapt up and walked. When the people saw that Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying, in the speech of the Lycaonians, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men. Now you have to understand a couple things about this verse here. It says that he was impotent in his mother's womb, which means that he's never walked his whole entire life, which means that he didn't build muscles, he didn't bring calluses on his feet, he didn't do really anything that would require to walk, but yet he got up and started walking. You know, God had to fix his bones, his cartilage, his nerves, his muscles, tendons, ligaments, fat pads, balance system, and skin. Every single part of his system, from his brain all the way down to his feet, would have to be fixed, because he's never walked a day in his life. So first of all, he doesn't know how to walk. His body doesn't know how to do it for him. He doesn't have feeling in his legs anymore, and he wouldn't have the muscles to walk anyways. You know, there's bones all on the foot, there's tendons and ligaments. He'd have to fix all those things. There's no doctor in the world, in the planet, who knows all about the foot. I mean, they have a good idea, but they don't know everything about it. And one could study the foot for thousands of years and still not comprehend all of it. It's just an amazing thing. You know, you have the nerves in the foot. All those would have to be fixed, because it would have to tell the brain what's going on with the foot. And the balance system as well, because the balance system is going to tell the foot which way to move by feeling which nerves got hit. Not to mention, you have the brain, the inner ear. All those things are going to work together in order to feel somebody's foot and be able to wake and walk. You can see right here the central cortex, the audio cortex. You know, the sound comes in your ear, and there's actually muscles in there that gives you vertigo if you don't actually have things going right. All those things would have to be fixed in order for you to walk. And the God who created everything, he can fix it in seconds, because he knows exactly how it works. So basically, the brain interprets signals throughout the body. The eye sends your visual data. The other inner ear sends signals related to the sounds of your body position, and then the joints and muscles signal what you're supposed to do. And they called Barabbas Jupiter, and Paul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker. So Barabbas they called Jupiter, and Paul they called Mercury, because I guess they thought that these men must be of the gods, so the only gods they really knew of was the solar system, so they called them Jupiter and Mercury. Then the chief priest of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands upon the gates, and would have done sacrifices for the people. So even the priests in there thought that they were some kind of special gods. Which when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of, they rent their clothes and ran among this people, crying out. And they said, Sirs, why do you do these things? We are also men of like passion with you, and preach unto you that you should turn from these vanities into the living God, which made heaven and earth and the sea and all that therein, who in the past suffered all nations to walk in their own ways. Nevertheless, he left not himself a witness that he did good. He gave us rain from heaven and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. And with these sayings scarce restrained them the people, and they had not sacrificed unto them. There came thither certain Jews from Antioch and Iconium, who persuaded the people, and having stoned Paul, drew him out of the city, supposing he had been dead. So Paul and Barnabas heals this guy, a miraculous healing, and the chief priest and the Jews didn't like it, so they decided to stone Paul. 2 Corinthians 11 verse 22 says, Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more. In labors more abundantly, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, in deaths of health. Of the Jews 5 times received I 40 stripes, save one. Thrice I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. Thrice I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep. And journeying often in perils of war, in perils of robbers, in perils of mine own countrymen, in perils by the heathen, in perils of the city, in perils of the wilderness, in perils of the sea, in perils of my false brethren, in weariness and painfulness, in watchings often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness, besides those things that are without, that cometh upon me daily, the care of all the churches. Paul has been through a lot of stuff, and he's basically telling these people, I've done all these different things, and yet I still follow God. The U.S. military has this award called the Purple Heart, and the Purple Heart's given to somebody who was injured in battle and still did miraculous things. They get the little badge and they get the little pin for their chest, and it says that you were injured in battle and you still did something miraculous. Matthew 5:10 says, Blessed are they that which persecute for righteousness' sake, for their kingdom is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye which men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For you so proceeded they that prophets which are before you. When people are attacking you and people don't like what you're doing for God, that's a good thing. It means you're doing your job right. When you have people saying, well, I don't like you because this and that, well, it might be the fact that they don't like you because you're actually honoring God. You're making God happy. Back to Acts 14, verse 20. Howbeit, as the disciples stood around about him, he rose up and came to the city. And the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. Proverbs 24:16 says, For the just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wickedness shall fall into mischief. So Paul was stoned, and people thought he was dead. But yeah, he just got up, took care of himself, and went out and started preaching again. There's actually a bunch of people that are famous who have failed and yet became something awesome. And I just want to mention a couple of them to you. Walt Disney, he's behind the very successful theme park, Walt Disney World. But he was fired as a newspaper editor for not having good ideas and no imagination. And now Disney World is currently valued at $35 billion. Thomas Edison, he tried more than 10,000 times to invent a light bulb. And when somebody asked about all his failures, Edison just simply stated, well, I know definitely 9,000 ways that electric bulb won't work. Fred Smith, he's the founder of FedEx. His college professor stated that his concept of Federal Express was interesting, but it wasn't feasible. It wasn't possible to do it. Steve Jobs was actually fired from Apple. They said that he basically just didn't do his job right. And he actually is quoted by saying, I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, and it freed me to enter the most creative period of his life. Oprah Winfrey, she was fired from a news reporting at the Baltimore news station. She went on to be a successful following on her show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, and she's actually quoted to own about $2.7 billion. Steven Spielberg, he was rejected from film school 3 separate times before he finally got his huge break, and he's known for directing mega hits such as Jurassic Park and Jaws. And what about Bernie Marcus and Arthur Blank? They're the guys that started Home Depot. They were savage businessmen that went on to turn their big box store idea into a huge success, and they currently have over 2,200 retail stores in the United States, and they exceed about $75 billion. You know, Vince Lombardi said, "Winners never quit, and quitters never win." Elbert Hubbard said, "There's no failure except in no longer trying." Babe Ruth said, "You just can't beat the person who won't give up." Dale Carnegie said, "Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seems to be no hope at all." Thomas Edison said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time." Back to Acts 14, verse 21. "And when they had preached the gospel to that city and taught many, they returned again to Lystra, unto Iconium, and to Antioch." So you can see in the map here, they went to Derbe, then they went backwards, and so they went to Lystra and Iconium, then back over to Antioch. They're going to follow the path back from where they started from again, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue their faith, and that they must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of God. And when they had ordained the elders of every church, who prayed with fasting and commended them to the Lord on whom they believe. And after that they passed throughout Pisidia, and they came to Familia. And when they had preached the word in Perga, they went down to Attila. So you can see that they followed the path down. They're basically following the journey that they started, but they're going the other way, and they're gonna skip over Cyrus. And they thrice sailed to Antioch, from which they had been recommended to the grace of God for the work which they fulfilled. When they were come, they came gathered a church together, and they rehearsed all that God had done with them, and how he opened the doors of faith to the Gentiles, and they abode a long time with the disciples. Well, that's the end of the video. I appreciate you guys watching it. If you guys have any comments, just make sure you comment below. Like my video, subscribe, tell your friends about it, share it. I'm going to put a couple more videos on the screen here so you can check those out. And I'll see you guys next time. Have yourself a great day.